Hey everyone, Stephanie from Mrs. D's Corner. I'm so excited to chat with you guys today and to chat with Mara, who is the CEO and co-founder of BrainTrust.
Yes. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here. So was it earlier this week or like last week we chatted on BrainTrust?
Yeah.
It's all going together.
Holidays are like a big mush.
Yeah. But we chatted all about IEPs and everything. But Mara and I have been chatting about tutoring online through BrainTrust. And BrainTrust is new to me. She actually reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. We coordinated to do this over winter break. But the one thing that I love about BrainTrust is that you have to be a certified teacher to be able to tutor through the website, which I think is so important for not only teachers, but also for parents who are looking for tutors for their children at home, especially during COVID, right? So I have a couple of questions and we're going to do introductions and all of that thing, but we're just mostly going to chat. So if you have any questions along the way, just leave them in the comments and we'll come back through afterwards and answer all of your questions. So Mara, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about your educational experience and all of that stuff.
Sure. So hello, everybody. My name is Mara Koffmann. I have been working in education for the past 10 years in a lot of different capacities. I started off as a classroom teacher working at a special ed school in New York City. And I found that I loved working with students and like watching the ways in which teaching could transform their lives and just like make me feel so good. But at the same time, I didn't love working in a school, which I think is a familiar experience for so many teachers. So I was lucky enough to be able to transition out of the classroom to slowly build up tutoring work myself. And then that experience grew into a New York City-based tutoring company that I've run for the past 9 years called Smarten Up. And through my experience there, I think I came to realize the ways in which the standard tutoring agency, tutoring company model isn't a great fit for teachers and it isn't a great fit for parents. So the idea was to try and create BrainTrust to offer a better tutoring experience for the teachers that are looking to work with students outside of the classroom to either supplement their income or try and transition more into a full-time tutoring themselves. And also as a means to make it easier for parents to connect with all of those teachers because so many parents and families need extra support and it's way too difficult to try and find it.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's been a long career in education doing a lot of different things. And, you know, it's a great thing to do for so many of us. But I think we would all agree that there are a lot of challenging parts of it. And it's been fun to try and, find a way to do what I really love, but also try and create more opportunities for parents and for families.
I love that because coming from being out of the classroom now for a couple of years, due to my anxiety and just kind of doing other things and working in other education departments now, I guess, I love that you talk about you can do it kind of like part-time, but you can also do it full-time. Like it could be your full-time gig if you wanted it to be. And I know teachers, like it's no secret that we don't make a lot of money. We don't get into education to make money, right? But like a lot of teachers and even just in like Facebook groups and even teachers I've worked with previously in school districts, they have second jobs and third jobs. And, you know, this is something you guys could do from home.
Right.
And make money and be valued for the knowledge and expertise that you have as teachers. So I really, really love that.
Yeah. And, you know, it's like we work so hard to become educators and we do it because we love it and it's fulfilling. And honestly, I think that tutoring in so many ways is also like the best kind of format to be able to teach in the way that we all imagine teaching when we decide to kind of go into this profession, because you're able to establish such meaningful relationships and provide such individualized learning experiences that it's just like the kids are happy, the parents are happy, we're happy because we get to see so much growth.
You get to actually teach.
Yeah.
Like that's what everyone wants. We just want to teach, man.
Yes.
So I love that. Okay, well, let's talk more about BrainTrust then. So what is BrainTrust? So it's a tutoring company, but tell us more about what it is. And I guess we kind of already talked about like what it is and why you started it, but what exactly is BrainTrust, and like, how is it different than the other tutoring companies that are out there?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that I would say is we're really trying not to be called like a tutoring company. There's no kind of perfect name for it, because I don't think that what we're trying to build totally exists, which is part of the reason why I wanted to build it in the first place. But you can kind of think of it as like a care.com for connecting with certified teachers. So
I use care.com to tutor kids, actually.
Yes, exactly. And, it's like care.com is amazing. And there are definitely other resources like it that are totally incredible. But when you're trying to find a tutor on care.com, lots of different people can say that they can tutor, which is the same thing with a lot of the existing platforms, like Varsity Tutors is another really big one, or Chegg, or, there's lots of companies where you can connect with tutors for tutoring services. Right. But I think all of us educators would say that not all tutors are teachers, and not all tutors are created equal. And so with BrainTrust, you have to be a certified teacher in order to join the platform. And we've also made it so that teachers can specify what they do best, because that's, of course, where we can have the greatest impact. So, if you have experience supporting students with learning disabilities, we're set up to specifically provide support for students with ADHD or students with dyslexia, you name it. We're primarily focused on learning differences and thinking differences at the moment, with a hope to expand into a wider range of disabilities in the future. But teachers are able to set their own hours, they set their own rates, they set where and when they want to work, and what they teach best.
Basically, they have full control.
Exactly. We want to empower educators to create more opportunities to connect with the families that need them. And at the same time, make it easier for parents to connect with the right educator for their child at a budget that they can afford. So the fact that, in large part, I've been working in New York City for all of these years, and New York City tutoring prices can be absolutely insane. And especially if your child has any sort of learning difference, like the price just goes up and up and up. Yeah. And there are so many teachers, again, across the country who have the training to be able to support all of these students. But, because they're located outside of the city, parents don't have any means to actually connect with them. Right. Yeah, exactly. So what we're hoping, and the same thing for the teachers that want to work with all of those students, they're limited to, their local community, or who they can connect with on Facebook or word of mouth. But our goal is to make it easier for all of those parties to connect, so that if you're a parent in New York City who can't afford New York City tutoring prices, you can connect with a teacher in Florida or Georgia or Alabama, or, wherever it is, who has a lower fee. But at the same time, because the teachers are setting their hourly rate, they're still taking home what they want from their tutoring sessions and what they want for their time. We do have a 10% service fee for teachers, but we also offer, we make it really easy to manage your business. So we offer a scheduling platform. We offer really wonderful session report platform to be able to monitor progress and gauge a student's progress towards goals over the course of the tutoring meetings, plus provide feedback to parents. That's like, it all gets emailed. And
you showed it to me before. Isn't, like, some of it's just like check boxes. Like, exactly. It's so simple, guys. Yes. Like, you showed me
mastery, and the second that you click submit on the report, payment is processed via credit card for parents, so you don't have to keep track of invoicing or anything like that. And then teachers receive payment via direct deposit to their bank account within 1 to 3 business days.
And then does that report, like your check boxes to click the report, does that go directly to parents then? Like, you don't have to send a separate email? Like, it's all automated.
And parents can choose to include classroom teachers, speech language pathologists, occupational therapists, babysitters, anyone they want on those reports. So everybody's automatically kept in this communication loop together. Yeah. So that, our goal is to try and also facilitate more collaboration. Because again, as classroom teachers, if you know what your child is working on outside of the classroom, it's such an opportunity to be able to work as a team in order to make a difference in the life of the child and also to support the parents. So, we've set the platform up to take some of the things that make it difficult for teachers to take on tutoring, because it becomes this extra job on top of the job of actually going to meet for sessions. All of those things are built in to make it really, really easy for teachers to not only connect with families that need their services, but also manage their business so that they can, have more time to either work with additional students and or do other things in their free time when they're earning more money, so that they can enjoy themselves and their breaks and their rest, which they work so hard.
Families and just enjoy life. And I love that, because so you were talking about how it's so like, kids with disabilities and differences, they typically have outside services. So they're going to ABA, they're going to an outside speech therapist. And like, as a teacher, like we weren't allowed to communicate with them. It was always through the parent. So I love that parents can go in and just add, these people, these outside services to get these, what do you call them? Like, not their charts, but like just their
reports.
Yeah.
Progress updates, session updates that essentially identify the skills that were worked on during a session and the student's level of mastery of those particular skills. And then kind of what was covered during the session, strengths and challenges, and any sort of next steps. So it's also the ability, like I have a student who I work with that was seeing a speech language pathologist. And I was able to take recordings of our Zoom session, attach them to the session report so that she could see how he was producing all of those sounds that they were working on in our tutoring sessions when it wasn't like a specific focus of the meeting.
Right.
So you have this opportunity to see how skills are generalizing and how students are applying them outside of context, but it's easy,
That's so important.
Yeah.
Like generalization of the skill. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Like, we haven't talked about that before.
Again, it's like tutoring for all of these years. Yeah. It was daunting, but also really exciting to be able to build a platform from scratch that kind of like checked all of my boxes of the sort of pain points or annoyances that I've had over the years. And, so many of the other platforms that are out there for teachers too weren't built by educators. So I think having a platform that was built by an educator to meet sort of all of the needs that we have makes our tools and resources really powerful, both for teachers and for families.
I think I'm like super pumped about this. I'm so excited. I hope that you guys watching are like, oh my gosh, like I need to do this. Fantastic. So is there anything else you want to share about like how BrainTrust works? Like the inside kind of stuff, and then we'll kind of get into like how do they get started and all of those things. So like share how it works more, sure. I guess if you want to, and then we can get into how teachers can get started and parents.
Yeah. So I think some of the questions that we've gotten a lot of are how do teachers connect with families that are looking for services? And we are a platform where parents have to reach out to the teachers in order to connect. And we have it set up that way so that, again, we can make sure that the right matches are being made, and not just saying that any teacher can apply to work with any family, because
like spam. You don't want the parents to be spammed.
Exactly.
And I think that's important too.
Yeah, it's making the right match. So on the BrainTrust platform, parents can sort of use our matching criteria to get to 3 recommended teachers plus, our 3 top recommended teachers plus additional instructors that could also be a good fit.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, then the teachers will essentially get either interview requests or session requests from parents directly through the platform. And the way in which teachers can kind of boost their visibility in those searches for parents is really by like responding to inquiries really quickly, and also by keeping their information up to date, because we're essentially set up so that those teachers who are either most active on the platform or most responsive to inquiries, plus those teachers that have the best reviews, are going to be the recommended matches for any search that a parent does. So in that way, once a teacher creates their profile, which we can talk about in sort of the next step, that is, once your profile is created, it's really up to parents to see what kind of needs they have in order to find matches with families for tutoring. So, once a match is then made, it's really, really easy to manage the scheduling and the reporting and the payment processing. And our goal is also to try and make matches that are really consistent and long lasting, because that relationship piece is so important. And, I don't want BrainTrust to necessarily be like the homework helping or the test prep kind of service that families use. Our goal is really to provide more like holistic support and to provide real like genuine learning to support for kids that are either struggling in school or for kids who are struggling with remote learning and need more opportunities for enrichment. But it's really like relationship building and long-term matches and long-term relationships, which again are the most fun for us in terms of working with students and really getting to know them and providing the support that they need.
And I think that's best for the long-term success of the child, right? Like having a different tutor every session isn't going to be as beneficial to the child's overall education and, long-term living and education and all of those things as Definitely. Having the same person consistently. So that's great. So, okay, well now let's talk about how they get started. Sure. So teacher, say that I come to the BrainTrust website. How do I get started? Does it cost me anything?
Yeah. So it's super easy. We literally have a button that says get started. Click on that. You can sign up as a tutor. I do recommend doing it on a computer as opposed to on a mobile device, because part of the sign up process includes uploading certificates. So teaching certificates and or certificates for any sort of additional training for specialized support for kids with different sorts of learning differences. So if you have Orton-Gillingham training, you can upload an Orton-Gillingham certificate to be approved to work with kids who have dyslexia. Or if you've done any sort of specialized training to support students with ADHD or executive function skills, if you can upload those certificates, you'll also be approved to provide that sort of specialized support. So working on a computer as opposed to a laptop, as opposed to a phone or a tablet makes that process much, much easier. But then beyond that, it's uploading a photo, writing a bio, and saying what you think you teach best, when you want to work, where you want to work, and how much you want to earn for your time. Keeping in mind that 10% service fee. I always say that to teachers because it's, you want to compute exactly what you want to take home per hour. And you want to be set up to offer teachers that opportunity. And once you've entered in all that information, plus your work experience, all you do is click submit for approval. And then on our end, we'll review that application and check and see how the work experience and certificates line up with the skills that the teacher wants to address for students that need support. And then once you're approved, you're live and your profile becomes searchable and findable for any family that's looking for a tutor.
So it costs zero money to start.
Yes.
They only get charged once they start tutoring and get paid money to tutor.
Exactly.
Okay. And then, so how long is like the application process once they submit it? How long does it typically take to get approval?
So if they don't get approved, we do a background check on all of our teachers. So once the background check is complete, it's a criminal background check. And honestly,
I think we all have to have that anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And for parents, I think it's an important, safety precaution, an important step that we need to take. But that background check takes like a few hours to complete once all of the information is submitted. So that's super fast.
Yeah.
So generally we are approving profiles within, a couple days really. And then teachers are available for matches. Plus we also have been doing some pod support for families. So I'll also review all of those profiles and kind of reach out personally to teachers to see if they're interested in working with any pods or, some like alternative arrangements that families have reached out for. So even if even if a teacher doesn't hear from a family about a match, they might hear from me reaching out to see if they're interested in doing some of these other arrangements.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, the onboarding process is very simple, very quick. And then it's kind of just a matter of, again, making sure that there's a family that's a good fit for their background and training as they hear from parents about tutoring opportunities.
All right, so let's put it in like 3 to 5 quick steps. So step 1, get on a computer.
Yeah. Go to a computer, go to BrainTrustTutors.com, 2 T's in the middle, BrainTrustTutors.com, click the Get Started button, and then follow the steps, and you'll be walked through the process.
It's really 3 steps.
Yeah.
And then wait for your approval, and then make money.
And then yeah, exactly. Then respond. That's what I always say. Like if you hear from a parent about an interview request, make sure that you respond quickly. And we are offering free Zoom interviews to families just because, again, like that match and the chemistry is so important in a tutoring relationship. So we want to also give parents the opportunity to make sure that they're working with a teacher who not only has the background and training to be able to provide the support that the family needs, but also that they can really connect with the educator and make sure that it's going to be a good fit for their child. So once that interview is complete, parents then are able to click a schedule a session button directly on the teacher's profile. And that's kind of
how it goes off of the session that the teacher or the schedule the teacher picked.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Make more use of that free time. And it's like going through on Facebook and all of these teachers groups, I see so many teachers that are doing so many other things in their free time as their second job. And like, on the one hand, I think so many people want to do something other than teaching. Sometimes it's like a nice break, but I think tutoring also offers the opportunity to earn a good amount of money for that free time, doing something that we're really
expertise in.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Something that you love doing.
Right.
You actually get to teach.
Yes. And
okay, so
yeah.
Let's talk about then like the white elephant, the big elephant, the white elephant, whatever that is.
I'm terrible with saying, so I always get it.
Yeah. So the big white elephant, that's what we're going with. Can you really replace your teaching salary, your full-time classroom teaching salary, working for/with BrainTrust? And like realistically, what would it take to be able to do that?
So I think that it takes time. Time is what I would say is the most important piece of the puzzle, which, in all honesty, it's not an easy transition to just like leave the classroom. You're like, I'm going to start tutoring full time and that's it. It over time, it's easy to build up a roster of students that are really consistent and that are long-term. But I think it does take time and sort of patience to be able to do it. So I think for any teacher that's sort of looking for an alternative to the classroom, like if you can kind of dip your toes in the water and start working with a few students and make those students sort of more consistent relationships that you have, I think it sets you up to it sets you up to be able to make that transition gradually. I don't think it's like a flip the switch and leave and then you're done.
Yeah.
But I know that there are a lot of teachers that I've been working with this year who actually did leave the classroom last year due to COVID concerns. And, they're working with pods in the morning and they're tutoring after school to a point where, there's a teacher I've been working with a lot in Miami and she's like, I'm taking my Fridays off because I can. And, I have the flexibility to do it. So
and I've talked to a lot of teachers too, because I left mid-year when I left due to my anxiety, but a lot of teachers are like, I'm not going back in January. Like, I don't feel safe. The workload is just unrealistic. I don't feel supported. I need to take some time off. So this gives you a chance to kind of breathe, but also do what you love.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that, what I think that we're a nice complement to the classroom for many. And I think that for those that are looking for something else, it's like a way to continue doing what you love, but on your own terms. And, you know, again, it takes time, but I think that there are a lot of opportunities out there. And it's like we get into teaching for so many reasons that aren't fulfilled in the classroom. But again, when you tutor, you get to do all of that. Like when I was in the classroom, again, I loved my students, but I was like overwhelmed with all of the paperwork and communications and all of those things, like the unpaid hours of a teacher when, you know, you're really
teachers don't get paid to do like all the time.
It's a crazy thing, right? It's a crazy thing. But, you know, it's like you think, well, so many people think, oh, it's an 8 to 3 job or an 8 to 3:15. And like, I was there at 6:30, 7 o'clock every morning, staying until 7 o'clock every single night and earning my salary for, you know, my.
Had you work 8 to 3. Yeah,
exactly. And it was just overwhelming.
Yeah.
So
I think so many people can relate to that.
Yeah.
Especially right now, because there's teaching from home. There's no, like, you're at your house teaching. There's no separation now. So it makes it harder.
And it's just harder in general. Like I have said countless times this year that I cannot imagine the juggling act of teaching remotely or these hybrid arrangements or having like go into school to teach all of your kids remotely and coming up with all of these new materials and trying to come up with ways to keep your kids engaged because it's admittedly just challenging to do. Like it is so difficult. So, you know, take my hat off to all of you teachers doing it. Kudos to you. It's incredible. And, you know, you're continuing to transform the lives of these students in such an impactful way. But it must be so hard.
I agree with you. Like everything that you said. Yeah. So now that we've talked about what BrainTrust is, share a success story that you had, either like from you or like a favorite memory you have of tutoring a student online. Share like the good, like the feely stuff.
Well, I think my favorite part of teaching in general is the relationships that I'm able to build with students. And I have a few kids that I began working with when they were in like first and second grade. My background, again, is in learning disabilities, and I do a lot of work with dyslexia intervention. And so I have like 2 or 3 kids that I started working with when they were in first or second grade. And it was like getting them over the hump of being able to read and learning to read and building their confidence really as students. But literally like 7, 8 years later, we are still working together, not obviously for those same reasons, but more just because, again, like I've been able to transform into such a different role in their life of more of like a mentor and a learning ally and a support and just somebody who they know is in their corner who can help them through any difficulty they have. And being able to think back to some of those kids and their like purple glasses, then transitioning to braces, and then going to their, you know, barn bat mitzvahs or their sweet 16, and, you know, like still being in the lives of some of the students who I've worked with who are in college. It's like, you know, I know, like, when I think back to becoming a teacher and wanting to be that person that my kids would remember for the rest of their life, I feel so confident that I've been able to play that role in the lives of my students. And it's just like the greatest, like they're a gift to me in the same way that I'm a gift to them. And it's like 100% why we all become teachers. And so I'm grateful that through these relationships, I've been able to have that experience, which is, you know, what I dreamed of when I began in education. And like however many years later, doing something totally different than what I imagined it would be, but still getting to have that experience that I wanted so badly when I started.
And you're still making a difference.
Yes.
Like you're still teaching, you're still advocating, you're still supporting. Like
but on a schedule that works for me. I'm a mom. I have a 1.5-year-old and a 3.5-year-old, and I'm like able to be really present in their lives because I can set my own schedule, which is incredible. And honestly, I just don't have to work as many hours because I earn more for every hour that I work, which gives me kind of more flexibility and ownership over my time. So it's a wonderful way to continue doing what you love, but in a different format.
You get to be in charge, and I love that. Okay, so we've talked about all the things now. So where can people find you? Like, where can they reach out to you if they have more questions, or where can they find BrainTrust? Where can we find you?
So website
really creepy.
And my email is mara@braintrusttutors.com. I'm happy to connect, answer any questions, anything that you're wondering about. I am 100% available. And, again, our goal is to really empower teachers like all of you to continue to earn more and stress less doing what you love. I feel like that's our little phrase. And also to support families that need easier access to the right support for their child. My business partner in BrainTrust is actually a mom. I connected with her because after years and years and years of watching her daughter struggle, not understanding what the issue was, because she was, the word of mouth tutor was trying to figure out what was going on, but she didn't have a background in special education. And my partner's daughter ended up being diagnosed with dyslexia in 5th grade, which is far down the line.
Yeah.
Like the stress and anxiety that the mom went through, plus how much confidence her daughter lost within all of those years as she was struggling in school. Like, our vision is to not only make it easier for teachers to kind of build their side hustle and or make it their primary hustle and the best way possible, but also for parents like her to not have to go through the struggle of trying to find the support you need and the anxiety that it causes as you're watching your child have a hard time and you don't know how to help.
Yeah.
We really want to make it easier for parents to connect with like their dream teacher who can become their advocate and be on their side and help them through all of the complexities that come along with raising a child who's struggling with learning, because it's hard enough as is. And, an incredible educator can make a world of difference. And we know that there are so many incredible educators out there. So we want to make it easier for everybody to connect.
I love that. Well, I will go through after this live and link up BrainTrust. And then I can, if you want me to send out Mara's email to you, just send me a link or send me a link. Send me a DM, a message, an email, and I can connect you with Mara too. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Mara, for being here and sharing about BrainTrust.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited about this. And I just can't wait for everyone to see it because I think it's such an amazing platform. And I think that everyone needs to know about it, teachers and parents. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Bye.